live stream video. Please, you guys, share, subscribe to this channel, and make sure you guys hit that like button. And let's get to it, man. We got Trump kills his term over his dark past, and why Trump is refusing to release the Epstein files. So, as many people, you know, they feel that Trump should be, you know, impeached. Now, according to reports, the mega tension over why hasn't Trump released the Epstein files, despite repeated call from the public and some political features from the complete release of files related to Jeffrey Epstein, including those containing a rumored client list. The Donald Trump administration refuses to release all such documents fully. Trump defends administration and amid Epstein files controversy blame, and it says predecessors. Trump addressed the internal tensions within his administration regarding the Epstein files in a lengthy on True Social Saturday. Defendant Attorney General Pam Bondi and urging his supporters to focus on the mega agenda. So what is that, y'all? The mega agenda. That beautiful bill that he just signed off. Taking, public assistance away. The man that was planning to take FEMA away and, taking Rick, that it won't be no more government assistance. So according to a report that Trump is continuing to release these Epstein files, and here are some people that are saying what's going on with my boy. In some case, they are going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fabulous job. We are on one team mega, and I don't like what is happening. See, the simple fact, Trump don't like what's going on. What they are showing, because what they are showing that he's on, he's on every files that we see. And see, for years, Epstein, over and over again, it says, why are we giving publicity to file written by Obama, Crockett, Hillary, and a loser and criminal of Biden administration? See, it says, let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was wicked and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That is what she is looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way. Waste time and energy on Jeff Epstein and somebody that nobody cares about. It's sad, man, because he don't care about where our economy is going. And the more of this, be kept secret, y'all, the more that they continue to downplay this or sweep this under the rug much as they can, the more trouble he's going to bring on this economy and country, y'all. Now, according to reports, it says, but despite Trump attempts to downplay the Epstein case and shift blame to previous administrations and question why the Epstein files had not been released earlier if they contained the damages information. We knew surety and speculation surrounded the undisclosed documents. So it says, internal tension raised in Trump administration over Epstein case. So it says, the dispute within the Trump administration followed the Justice Department FBI announcement last week that they found no evidence supporting claim that Epstein processed a list of high-profile clients who was murdered in prison. Epstein died by suicide while in custody in 2019. It says during the 24 presidential campaign, Trump suggests he will release files relating to Epstein, which a first batch publicized in February by Pam Bondi, but that didn't happen. It says last week, it says New Nation report that FBI deputy directors Dan and FBI directors wanted to unseal evidence months ago and release every single piece of evidence they could while protecting victims. I want to say this, you guys, before I, get back started, man. We already know how corrupted the justice system is. If they really want to get these documents, why haven't they released these documents right before Epstein, went to prison? Like I said, man, whenever we dealing with, high rulers and, powerful, rich people in this world, they really don't want this to get linked. Because how much shame it will bring on the Trump administration. Now, many people already know the truth. Many people already, feel that it's just a matter of time that each document will be out. I mean, they hide so much information, but it's already, it's already out in public. People are already putting the pieces together. When you can put this piece together and know what actually happened, who was involved, you know what I mean? Who is at the Virgin Island? So it says here, last week, it says, the New Nation report that FBI deputy director, they wanted a piece of evidence that they could have protected the victims. Now, it says on Friday, CNN report that while I was considering quitting his post over the dispute, it says it was multiple sources that told the cable news outlet that Dan did not show up to work on Friday, fueling rumors that he is considered walking away. Trump mega follow seems unconvinced. New Week report that for the first time, Republicans have been refusing to release these files. And why are the Epstein files still hidden? Who are the rich and powerful beings protected on Tuesday? I'm producing to force a vote demanding the full Epstein files be released to the public. The speakers must call a vote and put every Congress and members on record. Now, pay attention. It says Jeffrey Epstein's the financier and convicted sex offender who died in prison in 2019 had associated with numerous high-profile figures, including politicians, business leaders, and loyalties. While authorities rule his a suicide, the persistent conspiracy theory alleged he was murdered to prevent the exposure of a supposed client list containing names of powerful individuals, including President Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, as well as many others. Recent billionaire Elon Musk claimed that the governments have withheld Epstein related records because Trump is in the Epstein files. Though Trump has denied this, Musk's comment have fueled further public interest in the unreleased documents. So now let's roll this clip, y'all. We got a lot to cover, man. We got a lot to cover, man. And the same president, I want to say, you guys, he's focused on one agenda. I feel if we can continue to attack this and get the Democrat Party to vote on this, maybe we can probably see an impeachment coming real soon. He having a lot of his administration focused on one gender that they've been focused on. And you're about to start seeing a lot of things about to start backfire. The deportation, sending, immigration back to their country. Trump is deporting that 6-year-old who had, I believe she had brain amnesia, if I'm not mistaken. There's a lot of going on regarding the Trump administration, man. Poor decisions. This is why I feel at some point you see the economy start crashing. But yeah, it's time to roll this video, man. Get this on the way, man, and hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and please share this video. Let's go.
Such a great dancer. You're 14 years old.
Yeah, you knew very well my age. I don't think you cared.
And who helped him build this international trafficking?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide.
200 victims. That there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret.
I believe that he was murdered.
Accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein discovered dead today in his jail cell. The cause, an apparent
Selling your car to Carvana is easier than you think. In just seconds, we can give you a real offer good for 7 days. Here's how. First, input your license plate or VIN into the Sell to Carvana homepage. We'll automatically collect.
This is everything. The only solace for me is that when a group of people who've experienced trauma of this kind come together united against a common enemy, there's a very special bond between us all.
No list, no names, just a memo, a video, and a final statement that left more silence than answers. After years of whispers, lawsuits, and one infamous death in a locked federal cell, the Department of Justice has finally spoken. But what they said and didn't say has only deepened the mystery. If one man built an entire network of abuse, how did it...
Let me tell y'all something. In the justice system we live, where people still fighting, And at the end of the day, how is one man build a foundation, an empire at this Virgin Island? And you mean all the leaders, politicians, people he was very familiar with, people that he had coordinated with. I mean, it's plain that they got documentaries of video of the Jeffrey Epstein and who was all, you know, on these files. Now, you can't make this up. Now, should Trump be impeached by the end of the day? Because he keeps saying, Pam Bondi, you're doing a fabulous job. He wants this thing to go away. So you got some people would like to see this go away. Let's go.
And with just him. Before we get to what the DOJ concluded, let's go back to how it started, because the story underneath it isn't what you think.
Oh my gosh, I was 14 years old. Like, what the hell, when you're that young?
In 2005, police in Palm Beach, Florida, opened an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein after a 14-year-old girl said she had been abused inside his waterfront mansion.
But at the same time, I was scared too because I didn't know if he would get angry, so I kind of just followed. I would have just my underwear on because that's how he liked it. So, and I would just get massages back, and then he would potentially later on turn over and he would also like when I would play with his nipples. He used to get turned on by that, and then he would finish himself off, and then that would be the end of it. And he would still give me the 300, and normally I would either get it from the secretary, would leave it in a drawer in the massage room.
How often do you think?
It was like once a week, twice a week, my freshman year.
Did you ever tell him your age?
I told the recruiter, I've mentioned it in front of him, yes.
You're 14 years old.
Yeah, he knew very well my age. He knew exactly, who he was hanging out with, I don't think he cared.
It didn't take long for investigators to uncover more victims. Dozens of teenage girls, some as young as 13, said Epstein paid them for massages that quickly turned into something else. Some were told to recruit other girls. Pattern was clear, so was the scale. Epstein, at the time, was a wealthy financier with a private jet, homes in Manhattan and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and ties to celebrities, royalty, and powerful men in business and politics. Police compiled a strong case and referred to it to the FBI, but in 2008, a secret plea deal changed everything. Federal prosecutors allowed Epstein to plead guilty to 2 minor state charges, soliciting and procuring. He served just 13 months in a county jail, mostly on work release. The deal, approved by then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, also granted immunity to unnamed co-conspirators.
What is the value of a secured guilty plea with registration versus rolling the dice? Is a value to a short guilty plea, because letting him walk, letting what the state attorney was ready to do go forward would have been absolutely awful.
For the victims, there was no trial, no testimony, no public reckoning. The deal wasn't just lenient, it was hidden from the girls it affected. And for the next 10 years, Epstein continued to move freely in elite circles.
Look, fam, thank you guys for tuning in. But what's hidden, man, must come to the light now. These victims should have justice. I don't care who's on these files, and why the President Trump refused to release these files because in these files there's some truth in these files, and he refused to release these Epstein files. Causing to release these files could bring more trouble on this nation and our economy, because he's telling Pam Bundy what a fabulous job you're doing, and it's focused on agenda that we've been focused on. Because why is it that he still want to take away government assistance? Why he want to make things hard as already hard right now, and not focus on the main issue that everybody now focus on? He realized that things is backfiring and things is not working in his favor. When he realized that this he's doing will bring our economy on the verge of a meltdown. You know, let's get this thing on the way, y'all. Let's get a petition. Let's get a impeachment going, because this is enough is enough, y'all.
Circles. The question is, why? Behind closed doors, Epstein wasn't working alone. Ghislaine Maxwell, British socialite, Oxford educated, and the daughter of media mogul Robert Maxwell, was more than just a companion. She was central to his operation. Victims later described how Maxwell would befriend them, groom them, and usher them into Epstein's home. She was often present. Sometimes she participated.
The first time she brought up the name Jeffrey Epstein, how did she describe him to you?
I think he was just a great guy. He's just saying, like, you know, he's helped me. I've struggled. Like, she was similar to me.
Did she say he could help you with your career?
That was a big part of it.
And when you think of her now, you used the phrase, you said the recruiter. You felt like she was
For
looking
sure.
for someone
Oh,
for him.
100%, yeah.
By the time the Miami Herald published its bombshell exposed in 2018, public attention exploded. The story detailed not only Epstein's crimes, but also the network of enablers and the legal machinery that protected him. Maxwell was named in lawsuits, so were others. Epstein's world was unraveling, and suddenly the names in his contact book, presidents, princes, billionaires, began drawing scrutiny. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump.
The NBC archives of the Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention. The footage, shot in November of 1992, before Trump opens a resort as a club, shows the future president surrounded by cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins, capturing Trump's fun-loving bachelor lifestyle.
Wow, who knew he was such a great dancer?
They all had past associations with Epstein. All denied any knowledge of wrongdoing, but the bigger question was still unanswered. Was Epstein the center of something larger, or just the only one who got caught? That question would only grow louder after his arrest, and even louder after what happened in a New York City jail cell. On July 6, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. He had just returned from Paris on his private jet. This time, the charges were far more serious. Trafficking and conspiracy to commit of underage girls. The indictment detailed a pattern of abuse that stretched from 2002 to 2005 and involved dozens of minors. Epstein paid girls as young as 4.
The truth of the matter is, everybody know why Trump don't want to release these files, because he don't want to get labeled as a predator, as a pedophile. You know, there was a clip that a brother showed me that Trump was on a young underage girl. And, you know, the cameras show that when the girl got off, they noticed that Trump has some spots in his pants. I mean, y'all can't make this kind of stuff up, man. And there's reason why every time he talked, the more they didn't talked about it, the more enraged. You know what I mean? He's enraged, and he wanted to continue to, do anything his power. He wanted to continue to use his power and force. But we all see at the end of the day, we all see for what it is. And like I said, y'all, it's going to be the people going to want this man out. Sooner or later, it's going to be the people that's going to force this man out. Let's go.
14 in his homes in Manhattan and Palm Beach. He also encouraged them to recruit others, creating what prosecutors called an abuse pyramid scheme. Within days, federal agents raided Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. Inside, they found hundreds, possibly thousands of images of nude and partially clothed girls. Some appeared to be minors. Hidden compartments reportedly contained CDs labeled with names and descriptions. Investigators also seized cash, diamonds, and a fake passport listing, a Saudi Arabia residence. Epstein pleaded not guilty and was held without bail. Prosecutors argued he posed a flight risk. They noted his access to private aircraft and his history of witness intimidation. A judge agreed.
Do you know what's really fun? Check your website on Wix. Highway.
But over a month later, on August 10, 2019, Epstein was found dead in his jail cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. The official cause?
New sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein discovered dead today in his jail cell. The cause, an apparent. Now, the Department of Justice and the FBI will investigate.
The circumstances surrounding his death sparked immediate suspicion. Epstein had reportedly attempted weeks earlier and had been placed on watch only to be removed 6 days later. On the night of his death, both correctional officers assigned to his unit failed to check on him for several hours. They later admitted to falsifying logs. Even more concerning, the surveillance cameras outside Epstein's cells were either malfunctioning or recorded unusable footage. No clear visual record existed of what happened that night. Federal authorities launched multiple investigations, but even early on, the inconsistencies gave way to doubt. Public reaction was swift and cynical. Many simply didn't believe that one of the most high-profile federal inmates in the country, a man with ties to some of the world's most powerful figures, could die.
Y'all smash that like button. It's 24 of you guys here. Smash that like button. Don't cost you guys a thing. Shouldn't cost you guys a thing. But yeah, we coming up this Epstein, case. You know what I mean? Everybody is arguing about why general, when it comes to Pam Bundy, why she's not releasing the list of these files. Now, it's shocking a lot of viewers, man, because people seeing, it's like, at some point, y'all, it don't take a rocket scientist. We all seen Trump's partying, dancing with these young girls. We all see they have a clip where he's actually, there's kids sitting on his lap. So there's why Trump don't want to get these files out. You know what I mean? There's a reason why, y'all. And he's focused on one agenda, y'all. One agenda to ruin a lot of American people, man. This is why there's a lot of death is happening here. And if we don't focus, come as a people, because we as a people, man, we all we have. And we don't come together and do this thing collectively, because it's going to take a lot of us. And I say we're doing a fabulous job so far. Let's get a petition going. Let's get impeachment. Let's get indictment going, because this thing can't continue. The more we let this happen, the more we don't address our opinion, the more we don't even get the Democrats involved to vote on this, the more Trump will continue to push this gender and focus on one thing, that beautiful bill that they just signed and things like that. So, like I said, you guys, this thing is bigger than most of us because half of us don't know what, you know what I mean, what's going on. So this thing is bigger than what we may think it is. So let's go.
In federal custody without something being wrong. Epstein didn't kill himself became a viral phase, meme, and slogan. It was printed on shirts, shouted at political rallies and broadcast and interviews. And honestly, that's hard to ignore and disagree with.
Chairman Davis, I'm here with our state senator, Sonny Borelli. He's also the majority whip. And Sonny, what are you going to say tonight? Epstein did not kill himself. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Public distrust deepened after further details emerged. Officers Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, the two guards on duty, were found to have browsed the internet, read sports articles, and fallen asleep during their shift. In 2021, they entered a deferred prosecution agreement, admitting their failure to perform mandatory checks. In return, they avoided jail time. The jail's reputation added to the suspicion. The Metropolitan Correctional Center, already known for poor conditions and understaffing, was facing serious scrutiny even before Epstein's arrival. After his death, it was temporarily closed in 2021 due to poor infrastructure and ongoing concerns. Critics also pointed to the up-and-coming bail hearing, scheduled just days after his death. Epstein's legal team had been preparing a second attempt at securing his release, offering a $100 million bond, armed guards, and home confinement. His brother, Mark Epstein, raised questions about the timing. Speaking in interviews and to reporters, he pointed out the unusual decision to remove Epstein from Suicide Watch so quickly, and noted the family's intention to support bail. Mark arranged for re-owned forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden to observe the autopsy.
You say that the answer to whether or not he killed himself could be in his eyes. Explain that.
That helps. That is, with when the loop comes up under the windpipe, under the mandible, there usually is not any kind of hemorrhages in the eye. With homicidal strangulation, because of the increased pressure, there are hemorrhages in the eye.
And when you examined the body, there were burst capillaries.
There were burst capillaries in the eyes called petechiae, and that's not conclusive, but that's greater evidence of homicide than.
Dr. Baden later told media outlets that some of Epstein's injuries, including broken bones in the neck, were more consistent with homicide, though the official ruling by the New York City Medical Examiner remained unchanged. More details emerged over time. No photos were taken of Epstein's body in the position it was found. His body was removed from the cell before a thorough forensic investigation. And the sheet he allegedly used was thin, torn from a standard issue prison bed. Amid all of it.
Look, I don't know. It's 35 you guys here. Y'all ain't hitting the like button, but I need some of you guys to comment below. Do y'all think he was murdered? Really murdered? Do y'all think that someone out on the outside could have sent a hit? Because you gotta remember who was on these lists, on these files. A lot of people were saying, well, Trump may have something to do with the plot, but I don't know, fam. But I'm hearing it's a lot of things surfing right now. So yeah, I need y'all to comment below what y'all take on it, man. You know, I'm gonna say for my you know what I mean, for my whole thing of it, like, you know, when you have that kind of charge on you, I don't think, you know, you got, for one, he's very known person, man. You know what I mean? And people in there all day, you know what I mean, they want strikes. And, you know, I truly think he was murdered. If you truly ask me, I think he was murdered. So, and it could have been a hit, because a lot of these they just don't want to release to you. You know, so You know, a lot of people feel different too, man. A lot of people, and I've been like doing nothing but just be like trying to warn y'all. A lot of people really looking different at Trump, man. You know what I mean? He didn't change over the years. You know what I mean? A lot of people voted for him in 2016, and you know what I mean. This year, a lot of people looking at this, man, and they really looking at him, man, as a failure to the country, man, as a big failure, man. And like I said, man, the more he continue, the more he continue to continue to push this gender and things like that. You know what I mean? Everything he's doing right now on this economy right now, everything you're gonna see is gonna backfire. Sooner or later, you're gonna see things start backfiring.
Another source of public frustration remained. The lack of arrest beyond Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell had been taken into custody in July 2020 at a remote New Hampshire.
I don't I don't think there's a camera inside the jail cell, but there's probably the camera from outside, like what I mean, maybe outside the module pod, but it's no camera inside the cell. I went to prison, but there's cameras in, you know what I mean. There's cameras from outside, but not inside the cell. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, but it's like really no one seen that. Who, you know what I mean? You don't know if someone went in that cell that got him. You know what I mean? We just don't know, man, because they not really saying nothing.
Hampshire property. She was later convicted in December 2021 on 5 counts, including and conspiracy.
Do you feel safe in jail? Do you feel safe because there was threats on your life? So do you feel safe?
Yes, I feel safe.
Most people are too lazy to do this. It saves homeowners a fortune.
I would not do. I don't have any safety issues.
Because as you told me, jails are sometimes dangerous, and Jeffrey Epstein died in jail. Do you believe that he committed suicide? Because many don't.
No, he did. I don't believe he did. I believe that he was murdered.
But the core question persisted. If Epstein had recruited and abused hundreds of underage girls and Maxwell had helped him, who were the clients? By 2020, flight logs from Epstein's private jet, nicknamed the Loletta Express, had become public. Names range from entertainers and business executives to global political leaders. None were charged. Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most vocal accusers, named Prince Andrew in civil court filings.
Asked me to dance. He is the most hideous dancer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was horrible, and this guy was sweating all over me. Like, his sweat was like, it was raining basically everywhere, and I was just like, whoa, grossed out from it. But I knew I had to keep him happy because that's what Jeffrey and Keelan would expect from me. People on the inside are going to keep coming up with these ridiculous excuses, like his arm was elongated, or the photo was doctored, or he came to New York to break up with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on. I'm calling BS on this because that's what it is. He knows what happened. I know what happened. And there's only one of us telling the truth. And I know that's me. I implore the people in the UK.
In 2022, the case was settled for an undisclosed amount, with the prince admitting no wrongdoings but stepping back from royal duties. The BBC interview he gave in 2019 meant to defend himself only worsened public perception. Meanwhile, social media and independent platforms continued filling the vacuum. With mainstream investigations being slow, people turned to internet forums and podcasts. Theories multiplied, and the narrative of a powerful man silenced before he could testify became dominant in popular opinion. The federal government, in contrast, remained quiet. No further arrests, no new names, and despite growing calls to release Epstein's full contact book and video evidence, very little new information came out until 2025, this year, when the Department of Justice decided to respond, but not in the way most expected. In July 2025, the U.S. Department of Justice released what it framed as a final update on the Epstein case.
With our law and justice lead and Elon Musk's favorite story, a new Justice Department memo reveals that the Justice Department has no evidence that convicted Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful people or kept a client list or was murdered in prison.
The memo was paired with over 11 hours of surveillance footage from the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, the facility where Epstein died in 2019. The DOJ summary declared there was no credible evidence of a wider conspiracy, no secret blackmail operation, no so-called quote-unquote client list. The memo read in part, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate on investigation against uncharged third parties." It also stated that there was no evidence that Epstein blackmailed any individuals, and no indication that any prominent public figures were involved in illegal activity. The video footage released alongside the memo showed the hallways outside Epstein's cell block on the night of his death. According to the DOJ and FBI, the footage confirmed that no one entered or exited the special housing unit during the critical window. They concluded Epstein had acted alone.
You see the cameras from outside. You can see they have cameras from the outside, but they don't. I know for a fact they don't have no cameras from the inside themselves. But the outside, though, you can see the cameras rolling. They saying how if he was murdered, it would have to be someone have to find a way to enter the entrance, and really you see no, see no indication. Like you don't really see nobody, no appearance. You don't see nobody around his door self. So it's kind of really hard. You know what I mean? Because they got the cameras right there.
That conclusion was met with immediate skepticism. For many, the DOJ statements raised more concerns than they resolved. The memo simultaneously confirmed that Epstein had harmed over 1,000 victims, a staggering number, but it claimed that only he and Ghislaine Maxwell could be held criminally responsible. The surveillance footage, while technically confirming no unauthorized access to Epstein's tier, did not show the inside of his cell. The angle of the footage, placement of the cameras, and the absence of guards still left room for speculation. The guards involved, Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, never gave public testimony under oath. Further complicating the situation, the DOJ memo acknowledged that investigators had reviewed over 300 gigabytes of digital material. This included more than 10,000 downloaded images and videos, many involving minors or apparent minors. But the department cited court orders and privacy protections as reasons for withholding much of the content from the public. Attorney General Pam Bondi and other officials noted the sheer scale of the material made it difficult to process and confirmed the identities of third parties involved. But victims' advocates argued that the lack of transparency undermined the pursuit of justice. While the DOJ emphasized the need to protect victims' privacy, it also appeared to signal an end to any broader accountability efforts. The memo concluded, no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. The DOJ's final word has done little to close the case in public eye. Instead, it highlighted the glaring contradictions in the official narrative. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted of, but the DOJ now claims there were no identified recipients of that. Virginia Giuffre named Prince Andrew in sworn statements. He settled out of court in 2022, but was never criminally charged. Flight logs revealed a roster of elite names, but association was not considered evidence of wrongdoing. Meanwhile, the DOJ says it found no blackmail tapes, no list of clients, and no credible evidence of extortion. But Maxwell's trial confirmed that girls were recruited for with wealthy men. If Epstein had over 1,000 victims and Maxwell helped him recruit them, the logical question remains: to whom? The memo was meant to offer closure. Instead, it left many wondering whether the full truth had been buried, not just with Epstein, but behind layers of institutional reluctance. With that, the case was declared closed. But for many, it never really opened. If this really is the end, it's a quiet one. Too quiet. No names, no closure. Just a memo, a few tapes, and a world still asking, who else was involved? And why weren't they ever named? Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more Scary Hours.
Survivors of abuse connected to the Church of Latter-day Saints, listen up. In most states, you can now file
Hello and welcome to Power Hour. I'm Gabrielle Power. Thank you for a different world. But what everyone can surely agree on, whether you like his politics or not, he is the most entertaining president in the world. This weekend he handed Chelsea the Club World Cup trophy and he was supposed to leave the podium, but instead he stayed up there celebrating with the players, soaking in the win.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. You still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. Such a great dancer.
You're 14 years old. Yeah, he knew very well my age. I don't think he cared.
You know, anything, Trump say that he hears from people, if they talk about the Epstein, he's still talking about Epstein. There's a lot of other things we need to do and talk about than this Epstein guy. But you guys, the truth of the matter is, man, everybody taking this thing very seriously. And they should. We should. Because if we don't, y'all, what Trump is doing will allow him to put this economy in jeopardy. A lot of people would die, y'all. And he rather, live with those kind of results. So we as a people, this is where we gotta step up, and we got to address these things, man. We got to bring these things to the light. We have to find a way that every person needs to be treated equally, and the way the justice system is set, we need to bring more justice into the victims that have been victimized, sodomized, and who know, rape, abuse. We are coming to a time, today's world, society, where justice is, it's not justice. Justice is not soft. That's what we come into. In society where, we see justice, our justice system, and justice is not brought. Let's go.
And who helped him build this international trafficking?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide. 200 victims.
That there were so many individuals that were hidden and kept secret.
Sexually abused in a San Bernardino or San Diego County youth facility. Significant
Would you raise your hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you please state your full name?
I'm Jeffrey Edward Epstein, and my residence address is 6100 Red Hook Boulevard in Virgin Islands.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
The sex crimes of millionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein are appalling.
I was unaware that I was going to be alone with him. I thought I was going to die.
More than 100 vulnerable teenagers and young women trapped in his depraved web.
He started touching himself.
Tonight, the Epstein file.
Alright, you guys, is about 40 guys in here. Hit that like button. Don't cost a thing. The more we get the like button, the more YouTube algorithm will get this video where it, where it needs, you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate 40 of you guys tuning in, as we covered the Epstein, case. So, at some point, you guys, Trump will be impeached sooner or later. The more the more people start getting this out, the more you see people talking about it as they talking about this. The more this won't go away, man. Trump is fierce. He's enraged. He's angry, and it's like he can't have his cake and ice cream. Man, I'm telling you, man. Everybody is seeing things the way it is, man. And sooner or later, man, we all get a change. A change will come, y'all.
Files, the latest on who knew what in the biggest sex trafficking ring in history. His elite circle of the wealthy and powerful on notice as thousands of damning new court documents are unsealed.
They will contain the names of people associated with Jeffrey Epstein.
Prince Andrew and the former President Bill Clinton have been named.
More are expected to come out.
In the last few weeks, they've linked Epstein to some very famous names and exposed some very sordid details.
There are videos that exist.
We've been investigating this scandal since Jeffrey Epstein's death in 2019. This is where Jeffrey Epstein served his sentence. That he can still shock is extraordinary.
I won't stop fighting. I will never be silenced.
As you'll see, this monster's tentacles continue to reach from beyond the grave. Refusing to answer lawyers on the grounds he might incriminate himself, Epstein thought his own silence would protect him forever. With his death by suicide in 2019 and the jailing of his former lover and right-hand woman Ghislaine Maxwell 2 years ago, Epstein's associates may well have thought the scandal was over. But after a decade of legal wrangling, more than 150 people have been publicly identified, linked to Epstein and his sex trafficking network.
He was a brilliant manipulator, not just of vulnerable girls and women. He was a brilliant manipulator of powerful men.
A really heinous crime on an absolutely massive scale that was allowed to continue and continue and continue.
I say this to you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We dealing with a world. Anytime you're dealing with a powerful, rich people, man, you're dealing with a force, y'all. You're dealing with a powerful figure. And, the wicked, they think they can always be so much aggressive. They think they can thwart the plan of God. They think that they are mightier than God. to all of a sudden now you see the Most High is judging America for all its wrongdoing. So the more, it's like the more you see, the more trouble you see our president continue to do, and we continue to let this go on, the more trouble this country will go through. We got to focus now. We got to focus getting this man out, getting this man impeached, having this impeachment get underway, and getting this man out. In order for this country to turn into a right direction, we got to focus. This is real. You know what I mean? That I got to say this to you. And I want to give a lot of, you know what I mean, my YouTubers, you know what I mean, my brothers and sisters pushing that we got to get these things underway, man. This is the first thing we got to do, to get this man up out of office, because he's focused on one agenda. And it's going to continue to take, I always say, it's going to continue to take a collective people. It's going to continue to take our voice. You know what I mean? Our platform. We got to get this out, y'all. Let's go.
Jeffrey Epstein's vast wealth gave him access to whatever he wanted. As we now know, the globe-trotting multimillionaire created a network where young women were supplied to him wherever he went.
I realize what I am. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. What I really believe is I completely follow my own personality.
And with his own plane and plush properties all over the world, he felt free to abuse in the privacy of his various homes.
This is New York, this is Palm Beach, this is California, this is Paris, this is London. This is wherever Epstein was touching down. He needed to have girls on constant call. In every single state or every place that he goes to, he's already got people lined up and makers making that happen.
None of this would ever have seen the light of day if it wasn't for Virginia Giuffre. Her allegations of sexual abuse against Epstein, Maxwell, and famously Prince Andrew have fascinated and repulsed the world. In 2015, Virginia sued Maxwell for defamation. These latest documents are, in the main, sworn statements collected for that case.
It's hard. It's really hard being back here.
We met Virginia 5 years ago when she bravely returned for the first time to the Epstein mansion in Manhattan.
I was abused by people that I can't even mention here. There's a lot of scars hidden behind those walls. It should be ripped down. It should be burned to the ground. Some of my worst memories are from this place.
I continue to be shocked by just how awful this story is. The damage that was done to these women is incredibly hard to even express. It's been completely life-altering for them. It's incredibly unfair that this was allowed to happen with impunity for so long.
Lucia Osborne Crowley is a journalist and author who has long covered the Epstein case. She believes the significance of the new Epstein files can't be overstated.
It's really important that we understand the difference between having these allegations swirl around and seeing that people were willing to swear to them under penalty of perjury. It's incredibly hard thing to do, and they were all willing to do it and to swear to the truth of it.
Lucia also had a front row seat when victims testified against Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell when she was convicted for sex trafficking in 2022.
A lot of what Jeffrey Epstein got away with, he wouldn't have been able to do without her helping to recruit, groom, and entice underage girls.
But she wasn't just the organizer, was she? She was also an abuser herself.
Yes. So we also heard at trial from multiple victims that she was in the room when the abuse was happening and that she engaged in the abuse herself.
But the documents released by the court put the...
I don't know about all my viewers, man. I believe in justice, y'all. But do I believe we live in a corrupted justice system? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. You know, and you know, there's a lot of things, y'all. You know, just think, y'all. How can they get Diddy and bring up a RICO charge without not getting things on the internet, without not getting a lot of things off the internet? There's police officers today, y'all. They get everything from the internet, y'all. Today you can just get something, you know what I mean, off the internet. You can Google something like they got, you know, they got like every of these, you know what I mean, politicians, political leaders at the, you know what I mean, at the island. You know, I mean, look, y'all, people are already seeing things like they're already seeing how Trump having a party. Not only that, there are young girls, you know, I mean, it's looking humiliating them at the end of the day, y'all. Like, how is it, you know, they refuse to bring, you know, files of the list of these names, and you can see it playing to this day. That all you got to do is go look at the documentary, and people are already, you know what I mean, dotting the pieces in. You know what I mean? You can see for yourself, man. Everybody can see for themselves, man. What's hidden will be brought to the light. You can't even make this up, man.
Spotlight on the role played by others in Jeffrey Epstein's inner sanctum. The most controversial revelation comes from emails sent by Sarah Ransom, who was abused and trafficked by Epstein. Those emails claim she has seen video recordings made by Epstein of an unnamed friend having sex with Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and Richard Branson. All three men vehemently refute the allegation, and in the past, even Sarah has denied the existence of the tapes. But just 2 weeks ago, she stood by her original claim in a Zoom call with Good Morning Britain.
It's no secret that everything was recorded. I've also seen recordings in his office. There are videos that exist. The people that know they exist, I'm sure are very frightened of them being released.
Fear may also explain the resounding silence from others named in this recent mass release of documents. According to thousands of pages of sworn statements by women abused by Epstein, the men now in the headlines are potential witnesses.
Are these men truly witnesses, or they are involved? See, we won't even never know, y'all. You know what I mean? That's the thing. We don't know. But we one thing we know who's all tenants though. So we do know who's on these files. That's one thing we do know. We do know that, you know what I mean, they're hiding a secret. You know, and every day is being exposed. So, truth of the matter is, y'all, what remain hidden in the light comes to the light. Now, let's go.
They placed them at the locations where the abuse commonly took place.
The vast majority, including all the names that we're hearing about the most, there are no allegations of criminality. They are just listed as potential witnesses.
If these people are not being accused of any wrongdoing, why have they been named?
The question is what they saw, who they met, what questions they asked themselves about why girls of that age would be in any of the Epstein homes. And if they didn't ask themselves questions about that, why didn't they ask themselves questions about that?
The documents also shed light on the alleged dark motivation of Epstein's sex trafficking to get dirt on some of the world's most influential people.
There is, for the first time, the idea that he was quizzing the girls he sent to famous people for details of what happened for blackmail purposes. That has always been the suspicion that this man had cameras everywhere, that he kept blackmail tapes. That was his leverage.
Take what you do best and create a website that's worthy of it. With AI website creation.
So I heard about Jeffrey Epstein sort of on the social Upper East Side grapevine in New York for a couple of years around the end of the 1990s and early 2000s. You know, he was a figure of mystery in that all people really knew about him was he had kind of out of nowhere known to be unconventional. People thought he was very good looking. And the only thing that people really knew about him, his sort of connector to the outside world, was somebody I knew. It was Ghislaine Maxwell.
With her link to English socialist Ghislaine Maxwell, Vicky.
You see, I come, you know what I mean? I come from a people that always been like, don't say nothing, you know, keep your mouth shut, right? See, it's like whenever you gonna get time to speak up for yourself. See, you can't blame the government when you are not asking the government for anything. The only thing you pleading for is a damn job. But you know what I mean? That's the only thing you pleading for. When we can plead for, you know what I mean, restitution. See, when a person said be safe, say nothing because you scared. Nah, it's time that we, you know what I mean, it's time for we to stand up and speak and address certain things that we haven't. Let's address the biggest issue that we have in the day. Let's address some things where we can move people with our words and go on and trying to fix the problem that we see. You know, it's like, it's sad to see one man can use his power and authority and push and use his force and he can dictate and be a dictatorship. Now it's time for us to see things where it is and start addressing things and start coming as a people. Because it takes a people to make America great again. It don't take one man that's not trying to make the country great again. It takes the people to vote for him to come in office. And it's up to him to allow to push this country and make this country, you know, where it needs to be. You know what I mean? The country will never become great again if we get one man, you know what I mean, using power. One man, you know what I mean, is dictating and not agreeing on what the country actually needs. Let's go.
Ward was the ideal journalist to profile Jeffrey Epstein. Her task in 2002 was to investigate the man behind the $500 million fortune.
My then boss at Vanity Fair magazine, Graydon Carter, phoned me up and said, you know, I've been hearing about this guy for years. Nobody knows who he is, where he got his money from, what his deal is. And that was how it all began.
But what started as a business story quickly turned sinister.
He liked to have parties with young women, but given that he was a very wealthy, at the time, you know, good-looking bachelor in his 50s, that didn't seem in itself, on the surface, so peculiar. But then I met this woman, Maria Farmer, and she told me that she had worked for Jeffrey Epstein.
No one immediately recognized how significant Maria Farmer would become in the Epstein story. Certainly not the authorities, when in 1996 she was the very first to report Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell to the FBI.
Ghislaine came in to get me one evening. Ghislaine escorts me to Jeffrey's room, and he's lying there, and he goes, well, here, sit down. You know, and so right next to him, and then Ghislaine sits on the other side, and they began assaulting me. But really, while I was lying there the whole time, I'm thinking, my sister's been around these people. My sister was 16. She's been around them alone.
Maria's fears were well-based. Her younger sister Annie had also been abused by the pedophile pair.
And it was the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
But in a pattern that would be set in the decades ahead, Maria's complaint of sexual abuse against her and Annie to police was ignored.
They just kept it all quiet, put it in the bottom drawer. And they were so dismissive that I just felt daunted and I stopped.
For more than 25 years, Maria Farmer has been filling her canvas with the Epstein story. A tale of horror that began in 1995, when, as a gifted student at the New York Academy of Art, she met Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein gave her a job to buy art for his New York mansion. As well, she became an unwitting witness to a steady stream of teenagers and young women through Epstein's front door. And shockingly, she had direct evidence of Maxwell scouting girls for the insatiable millionaire. What did you witness?
So, several times, I was in the car with her, and she would ask the driver to stop the car. And she'd dash across to the school or the park or wherever she was going, and she would, like, write down her phone number for a child, a young girl. And then I'd see that child at the house, and she'd say they're auditioning. You know, I found a model in the park, and I thought it was really strange because I did see a couple girls in braces, and I've never seen a model with braces.
Do you reflect on how different life would be for so many women today if the FBI had investigated your complaints in 1996?
Yeah. I think about it all the time. I do. And it hurts a lot. And I never had children because of it. Because I didn't feel like they would be safe.
It would be another 6 years before the Farmer sisters would again contemplate speaking openly about their experiences with Jeffrey Epstein. When they met with journalist Vicky Ward in 2002, Maria and Annie were nervous. Did it take a lot for you to convince them to open up to you, to talk on public record?
It did. There's no question. They were very afraid of these very powerful people.
And I felt that at least Vanity Fair magazine was also powerful. By us publishing their allegations, that would afford them protection. And so I think that we all proceeded under that premise, and unfortunately that premise got exploded in the worst possible way.
What blew it up? What happened?
Well, what happened as this piece was going forward, and I had to finally put all the allegations, both of the business stuff and the farmers' allegations, to Jeffrey and Ghislaine. They, in their different ways, went completely berserk.
Epstein was instantly menacing, a man prepared to bully and intimidate to save himself.
He treated the entire thing as a game, a really dark, twisted game. He even said to me at the beginning, okay, let's play chess. I'll be black, you be white, you get the first move. And from there, it descended into a sort of horrific game of cat and mouse. He would phone me every day. And then he told me that if he didn't like what I was going to write, he was going to have his witch doctor place a curse on my unborn children, and that was off the record. Then he told me he was going to sue me and ruin me personally, and I was just really frightened of what this man could do.
And so even though the threats he was making against you were quite preposterous, you took him seriously, like you were genuinely frightened.
Yeah, because at the end of all of this, at the end of months of digging, meeting the farmer sisters, there was still this question mark. Who is this guy?
But it only got worse when Epstein made a personal visit to Vicky's boss at the time, the editor-in-chief of Vanity Fair. Epstein got the result he demanded. Maria and Annie Farmer's allegations were cut from the story that went to print in late 2002. So as the journalist who had uncovered these allegations and convinced these sisters to go public, what was your reaction to see that your work was not in your article?
Well, I remember bursting into tears and saying to the person who was directly my editor, we've exposed these poor women. I mean, this is unconscionable.
Was it a reflection also of an abuse of power? I mean, if Jeffrey Epstein walked into the editor-in-chief's office, he wasn't there to say hello.
Of course. 2002 was an era in which Jeffrey Epstein and other predators, Harvey Weinstein, were running the world. And women everywhere weren't speaking up. And the idea that two men would have a meeting after which these allegations would get pulled, I mean, in the world we live in now, it's monstrous.
Vicky's boss, Graydon Carter, denies being influenced or intimidated by Epstein.
Look, you gotta understand the power of the elite been dominant so long, y'all, that this thing gets swept on the rug. This thing gets annoyed. And that's the reason why people are, are coming more out, and dressing their opinion that this should be justice. This should never be not looked at. We as a people, when we see the nation, when we see America not facing the right direction, it's because most of the time we get world leaders is pushing this country not in the right direction. It takes us. It takes the people. It takes our voice. Just think how many of this can get involved and get on this issue here. I mean, it's now he's knowing, he just knows that, man, he ain't got, you know what I mean, he ain't got a lot of people to, you know, support him. You got some of the Trump administration is really turning. You got a lot of people, you got even Trump support, you got a lot of people that voted, they looking at this like, man, like, they can never imagine, you know what I mean, what's going on now. People are losing their minds. Man, I told y'all, man. I told y'all, man. I told y'all, man. You know, it's people really losing their minds around here, man. People losing homes and through floods and you know, this is a man, you know, look, man. He had to overlook things, man. He was trying to get rid of FEMA, and now he's talking about he's going to do something new. Man, you can't. Look, I'll say it like this, y'all. The moment I remember he had that talk with Zelensky, and all Zelensky was doing was fulfilling a prophecy. He said, yeah, America, you know what I mean, y'all got nice oceans, waters. And you see those floods just happen the way it did. It happened. And, you know, we just had seen Alaska had a 7.3 earthquake. And they put out an advisory and trying to downgrade. Look, you guys, it's like all these pledges you see is here. And, you know, many scientists think it's too late for this demand. Because now the judgment that's coming here on America. And many scientists is coming out, they say, hey, we think this is too late. And they wasn't really expecting for things to come so fast. The sea levels is rising. And look, y'all, it's not going to get any better, y'all, from here. I'm looking at the, you know, the California subduction zone in the Pacific. They saying that a 9.3 earthquake can hit and cause a huge tsunami right into the Pacific. You guys, look, man. That new Madrid fault line, that Mississippi River is cracking, y'all. You know, so I'm saying expecting for more high flooding in certain states, y'all. But, you know, like I said, man, there's a lot of things, you know, Trump is trying to do. And if we don't get this stuff, man, together and pull together, y'all, we in a lot of trouble, man. We gotta hurry up, man. We gotta hurry up and get this underway, y'all. Get Trump, you know, impeached. He got it, you know, it's time, y'all. It's time. As a president of the United States, sometimes you have to be evaluated to see, do you have enough, you know, are you, in other words, are you competent? Are you, you know what I mean? Are you competent to, you know, run? Because, you know, especially, you know, when you were 79, 80, you know what I mean, we pushing, you know what I mean, that many years, y'all. We gotta have a president that will have fresh ideas, that can move the country in a better, you know what I mean, direction. I feel, I feel that, look, we could be in trouble, man, if this thing continue to get ignored and they don't do nothing, man. If we have the governments continue, these politicians thing continue to let this slide in, let it slide and things, we're gonna be in trouble, y'all. This nation will crumble, y'all. We're gonna be in trouble.
But either way, the Vanity Fair story didn't go anywhere near exposing the depths of Epstein's depravity.
I only got the very, very, very tip of that iceberg. I didn't get to the den of iniquity that we now know was really going on behind Jeffrey Epstein's closed walls in the mansion in New York and on his island and in Palm Beach.
Around that mansion, that's where this part of the sex trafficking ring really kind of came to life.
Palm Beach, Florida is home to some of the wealthiest people in America, an exclusive enclave for the rich and powerful, including former President Donald Trump. Jeffrey Epstein's luxurious home here graced the foreshore, its white walls and inscrutable exterior hiding a dark truth. A place where it's estimated more than 100 girls were tricked and abused, their lives changed in an instant.
Stop scrolling. Were you locked up at San Bernardino juvenile halls, High Desert, Gilbert Street, or anywhere in the system? A massive lawsuit says staff failed to protect kids from abuse. 600 plus survivors have already filed, and similar cases like this paid as high as $2.7 million each. If you were assaulted, threatened, or mistreated, you may qualify, but only before the next court deadline, 5%.
At 14, I was still in middle school. I was straight A student, never even got a B. I played the first cheer trumpet. I was the captain of the cheerleading squad. And then after I met Jeffrey, I just completely quit.
This is where you were living for a while?
Yes, this is where I was living when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein was 48 when a teenage Courtney Wild entered his orbit in 2001. At the time, she was living in this trailer park, one of West Palm Beach's poorest communities.
Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein targeted areas like this? Yeah, definitely targeted, children like myself that were vulnerable to him and his money, and we felt like we were being helped and saved by him when ultimately he was just preying on us.
As Courtney told me in 2019, her experience started when she was brought to the millionaire by another 14-year-old to make much-needed cash. The trap had been set.
What were you expecting to happen? Why did you think you were coming here? Well, I knew that I was coming here to give a guy a massage and to make $200. I did know that. It was never told to me that I would be molested by this man or anything like that.
Inside, Courtney very soon discovered the massage was cover for a terrible, well-rehearsed crime.
We were taken upstairs. It was like a circular stairwell that led to a hallway that led to his bedroom, which the massage table was in his bedroom, bathroom. He asked us to get comfortable, to just, take our clothes off, to be in our bra and panties.
Were you abused during that session?
And so we would massage him for about 30 minutes, and then whenever he was ready, rolled over and asked the person that brought me to go downstairs and wait. And once that happened, then that's when the sexual abuse happened. Yes.
You're 14 and in a completely alien situation, an incomprehensible position. How did you react?
I just remember afterwards how I felt walking down the stairs, and I just felt so dirty and so just like a piece of me had been taken. Dirty. I felt it was like my dirty little secret.
Virginia Giuffre's experience was eerily similar, except her recruiter was not a fellow teen, but the sophisticated and seemingly trustworthy Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia was 16 and working at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort when Maxwell spied her reading a textbook on massage.
She just seemed very nice, and she said, I've got a person that I know who's actually looking for a traveling masseuse. And if you want, I can get you an interview with him. If he likes you, we can get you educated. You'll be a real masseuse. And you'll get to travel and see the world. And you know, like, she made it sound like it was a dream come true. And it wasn't.
Within hours, Virginia was at Epstein's Florida mansion, lured there by Maxwell's promise. It ended in a devastating sexual attack.
So put it this way, we did the back of him, we did the back of Epstein, and then when he turned over, that's when I was instructed to get undressed and have sex with Jeffrey Epstein while Ghislaine Maxwell was participating as well.
You want to take a moment?
No, I'm okay. Okay.
So you were abused by both of them in your very first encounter?
Yeah, both of them. I was abused by Ghislaine and Epstein. I don't mean to sound sexist in any way, shape, or form, but I expected it from a man, but I didn't expect it from a woman. And, yeah, I think that's what hurts the most.
Maxwell's role as Epstein's co-conspirator, for which she is now serving a 20-year jail term, is well known. But in truth, it went well beyond Maxwell. The pair devised a scheme to feed Epstein's voracious appetite. They lured poverty-stricken girls in with cash, fanning their dreams of a better life. According to journalist Lucia Osborne Crowley, by the time the sexual abuse began, many were too invested in their promises to get out.
This was a well-oiled machine of finding vulnerable young girls who really needed someone to look after them, and then also using those girls to try and entrap younger and younger girls. And a lot of that, it seems, was developed in Florida.
How many girls do you think you brought to Jeffrey Epstein? At the minimum 50, but anywhere from 50 to 70 girls.
What were their ages?
The same ages of me, 14, 15, 16. I just hold a lot of guilt and shame for doing those things. And just to know that I had any influence on that happening to somebody else, just, you know, it's just devastating and breaks my heart.
Epstein's vile pyramid scheme might have continued unchecked, if not for the stepmother of one of his teenage victims, who called the Palm Beach Police Department in 2005.
It was an incident that occurred maybe like 3.5 weeks ago with one of my stepdaughters. Found out that ended up being that they went to Palm Beach to a gentleman's house, and they started off by giving the gentleman a massage, and he pays them if he likes them and he thinks that they're pretty enough, he takes them around to do other things. Okay. So I was not sure if there was an investigation or if you guys had any word. Well, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
That initial call was so alarming, the police launched an investigation, and it didn't take them long to uncover the revolting scale of Epstein's network.
Did Jeff know anybody's real true age, or he didn't care?
I don't think he cared. He told me nothing about it. Yeah, so he took my shirt off, so I took my shirt off.
Okay, so were you in bra or were you topless?
I ended up being topless, yeah. He started getting a little excited a lot, and then he started touching himself.
During the massage, did he ask you to remove your pants, or?
Yeah.
Did you or a loved one get diagnosed with kidney cancer to
testicular cancer or liver cancer. Police interviewed a staggering 40 victims whose ages ranged from 13 to 16. Their accounts were shocking enough. But what they found in Epstein's home was a creepy insight into his depraved life. Dozens of nude photos, a steam room, and a massage room with sex toys. Among the damning evidence were phone message pads, clearly showing a trade in young girls, scheduling them for massage appointments, and flight logs listing girls being transported aboard Jeffrey's private plane, dubbed the Lolita Express.
I think it's really important to know that it is actually much, much worse than we think.
In 2006, much to the relief of police, this predator was finally caught, a wealth of evidence amassed against him. But his own vast wealth and his immense influence saw him escape charges that should have landed him in jail for life. Instead, he served a mere 13 months when prosecutors accepted his guilty plea to the minor charge of soliciting a child for prostitution. But while he was technically an inmate at the Palm Beach County Stockade, he really just slept there.
It was essentially a slap on the wrist. He got 12-hour work release from prison every single day. Other journalists have described it as he just basically had to sleep in a crappy motel for, a bit over a year.
For many, the most outrageous part of Epstein's plea bargain was a seedy deal he struck with the Attorney General for the Southern District of Florida. It gave Epstein and any alleged co-conspirators, known or unknown, immunity from further prosecution, supposedly forever. Worse still, none of his victims were told about the deal.
How do you feel about that? To be sexually abused by a man and have the government know, and then actually, co-conspire with the perpetrator to make sure nothing happens to him is just so, it just sounds unreal.
Why do you think the government did that?
My personal opinion about that is, money, power, and I think that there was a lot of people involved in this underage minor sex ring that they were running, and I think everybody wanted it to go away.
So you believe that there was a conspiracy at play here?
Oh, absolutely.
It really is a sordid story, everything that happened in Florida, and the fact that authorities did know, did arrest him, did charge him, and he still was able to continue.
And according to Virginia Giuffre, the abuse didn't stop with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She was not just their sexual plaything. She was now part of their international sex trafficking ring, lent out to whomever they liked.
I was trafficked to other billionaires. I was trafficked to politicians, professors, even royalty. It was the elite of the world. It was the people who run the world. It was the most powerful people in the world.
And when I say powerful, dominant figures, man, that I'm telling y'all, man, these people had control. These people, just think, man, these people telling you of their life. It's like a story each one of them have. And you mean to tell me after years, this happened in years. And now all of a sudden they talking about it today. And this thing happened years. This is why it needs to get looked at. This is why I feel America got to clean up its act. In order for a country to get healing, we have to clean up our acts. That means politicians, political leaders, and if this act don't get cleaned out, y'all, the more Most High pour out His judgment in this war. And the more things will look bad and bad as it goes. If we as the people don't clean it up and continue to use our platform, this has to get done. We gotta move these world leaders. We gotta put someone in office that can move this country in the right direction. I've been saying that, I've been stressing that. I've been, telling you guys, the more we get wicked, evil leaders in this world, the more this nation going to continue to crumble. The more this nation gets cursed, y'all. And since we all know this now, it's time. It's this time now. It's time to just go back into that drawing board, vote on it. Because with our voice and platform, this can be done. This can be done. This can be done, y'all. The power of our voices will be heard. This can be done. So this to me is more important than, because if this don't get done, y'all see lives is taken, y'all. Y'all see it'll be a lot of life taken here, y'all. If this don't get done, y'all. Because his plan and goal is to take much life that's here, y'all. No concern from his own actions. He has no, it's like zero tolerance.
Ghislaine was this sort of very exotic, glamorous figure who would drop in and, to be honest, name drop a lot of famous names that she'd been hanging out with. We heard about Bill Clinton and sort of all sorts of other people. And we also knew that she was very good friends with Prince Andrew, and that Jeffrey Epstein would sometimes have Prince Andrew to stay.
As a British expat in New York, journalist Vicky Ward moved in similar circles to socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter of disgraced mega-rich media tycoon Robert Maxwell. Following her father's suspicious death aboard his boat in 1991, Ghislaine moved to New York, where she started her relationship with the millionaire Jeffrey Epstein. In 2002, Vicky was assigned to write a profile of the mysterious financier for Vanity Fair magazine.
When I began reporting this piece, I actually ran into Ghislaine Maxwell, and I sort of said breezily, "Oh, Ghislaine, yes, I'm writing this story about Jeffrey and the money." And I was really taken aback when she started to cry. I'm like, why is this woman crying? This doesn't seem to make any sense. Well, I didn't know that I was, from her perspective, probably in danger of pulling back the curtain on what was an absolutely horrific criminal sexual enterprise involving both of them.
Epstein and Maxwell complemented each other perfectly. He had the money she was used to. She had the contacts he wanted. The most high profile, of course, being Prince Andrew, who is famously accused of abusing the then 17-year-old Virginia Giuffre at Epstein and Maxwell's invitation.
We went to Club Tramp and he danced with me. and he sweats a lot. He smells funny. And then we get in the car, and Gillian tells me in the car that I have to do what I do for Jeffrey for Prince Andrew. And that's when I learned what was going to happen.
There's a slight problem with the sweating, because
it was a claim and counterclaim that turned this royal's life upside down. His ill-advised decision to appear on the BBC in 2019 left him, if not sweating, then red-faced. His attempt to convince us he knew nothing of the teenage Virginia fell flat when this photo, taken in 2001 in Maxwell's London apartment, resurfaced.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
How do you explain that?
I can't. Because I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
Your friend suggests that the photo is fake.
I think it's, from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. So it's very difficult to be able to prove it. But I don't remember that photograph ever being taken.
So as you know, Prince Andrew denies the allegations against him, and he says that this photo is a fake, that he was never there, and that it's not his arm, and they're not his fingers.
Those are his fingers. That is Andrew. This photo has been verified as an original, and it's been since given to the FBI, and they've never contested that it's a fake. And I know it's real. And he needs to stop with all of these lame excuses. We're sick of hearing it. This is a real photo.
And that was the first time you met him.
And that's the very first time I met him. And that's right before I was abused by him.
How many times were you trafficked to him?
3 times.
Her allegations against Prince Andrew are laid bare in the newly unsealed court documents. The disgraced royal is mentioned 69 times, and not just by Virginia. Johanna Schoberg, who was 21 at the time, claims to have had her own traumatic experience with Prince Andrew. And she says she saw the prince and Virginia together at the Epstein Mansion in New York. According to British-based Australian author Lucia Osborne Crowley, her account, given under oath, is damning of the prince.
We also have an allegation from a separate victim, Johanna, who has said that she was groped by Prince Andrew. So that's incredibly significant because we have sworn testimony from a second person corroborating that he did engage in illegal acts relating to minors.
Do you expect Prince Andrew to be under further legal scrutiny?
I think that certainly Prince Andrew will be facing many more questions given what we've learned in these new documents, and it's really important, I think, for the authorities to look at the fact that there is a second person who's alleging that he broke the law, and whether they need to speak to those victims and other potential victims to see if there is anything that they can or should be charging him with.
I wonder if you have any sense now of guilt, regret, or shame about any of your behaviour and your friendship with Epstein?
As far as my association with him was concerned, it had some seriously beneficial outcomes in areas that have nothing to do with what I would describe as what we're talking about today.
Prince Andrew has since found regret, but continues to deny all the allegations levelled at him. He settled with Virginia Giuffre on the eve of their civil trial in 2022, reportedly for more than $15 million. In battling with her, the prince likely thought the saga was over, but the release of these latest documents once again raises questions for him and many other Epstein associates.
Those are very, very wealthy, powerful people, and so far they've escaped without many questions being asked of them.
Billionaire financier Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested and charged with sex trafficking involving underage girls.
He could face up to 45 years behind bars.
It was a prized catch. In 2019, the roar around Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring was so loud, police were forced to act. Neatly befitting the lifestyle of a jet-setting millionaire, Epstein was nabbed on his private plane. As he landed,
Architecture and interior design? Find a 3D designer today. Find it.
Back in the US from Paris. For his most unspoken victim, Virginia Giuffre, his arrest was a gift more than 20 years in the making.
I never thought it was going to happen. I honestly thought he was just going to continue to get away with it over and over and over again, just like he proved so many times. So yeah, it was like Christmas in July. Big time.
But the expectation that Epstein would finally face his crimes was dashed when he was found dead by suicide in his jail cell a month later.
Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life.
The bombshell development, raising many new questions.
With Epstein dead, the charges against him were dismissed, denying justice to his many victims. And his co-conspirator, British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, became the most wanted woman in the world, as she went on the run.
So the idea that this woman could be involved in something as depraved and horrific as this, that was mind-boggling.
As journalist Vicky Ward and the rest of the world watched on in fascination, Ghislaine was tracked down to a luxurious New Hampshire hideaway after eluding police for a year.
Today we announced the arrest of one of the villains in this investigation.
This day to me has been like one of the best days of my life. I have not stopped smiling and crying, happy tears. And I'm just, I'm elated to know that she's where she belongs.
Immediately upon Maxwell's arrest, Virginia spoke for all the victims of the sex trafficking ring.
She ruined so many lives. She belongs in jail. You want to hurt kids? That's where you go.
In 2022, Maxwell was convicted on 5 sex trafficking counts. The then 60-year-old sentenced to 20 years in jail. She has lodged an appeal which will be reviewed in March and continues to claim her innocence from jail, as she told her brother, Kevin Maxwell.
Everyone also was asking who is the real G, who's the real Ghislaine.
It's definitely not the person portrayed. I feel completely divorced from the person that people reference and talk about.
Is that the biggest misconception of you?
That I'm the cruelest, meanest, horriblest person who's committed crimes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I literally haven't seen any details that are accurate.
Lucia Osborne Crowley was one of the few journalists granted access to the court to report on Maxwell's trial.
It was surprising that even at her own federal sex trafficking trial, she didn't appear to have a lot of humility and still was incredibly confident. And I certainly got the sense that she did not expect to be convicted.
And certainly no remorse.
Certainly no remorse. She basically said that she was sorry for the damage that Jeffrey Epstein had caused them, and that's all she said.
With Maxwell behind bars and Epstein dead, this case appeared to be resolved. But the recent release of these court documents shows how little we still know.
There are so many names that we are left with question marks about. What was his appeal? Why did some of the most powerful men in the world flock to him? What was Bill Gates doing around Jeffrey Epstein? I'd love to hear from Bill Clinton what he saw in Jeffrey Epstein. That would be great to know.
In all, more than 150 names have been linked to the disgraced millionaire. But apart from some denials of any wrongdoing, the silence from those identified has been deafening.
We've got evidence of sworn testimony where people are naming very, very powerful people who would have been in a position potentially to do something about what was going on here. And instead we had a sex trafficking ring that went on for at least 2 decades, possibly 3, with almost complete impunity. And so that's the point that I think we really all need to hold on to about scale here, is that not the splashiness of these names, but just how many there are, just how many people there are that victims pointed to say, this person can corroborate my story, this person can be a witness, this person met me on the island, this person saw me. And those are very, very wealthy, powerful people, and so far they've escaped without many questions being asked of them.
We'd have to assume that they're just running from this as far and as fast as they can.
Yes, well, I've been quite surprised at the silence over the last couple of weeks, if I'm completely honest. I would have thought that at least some of these people would have felt an obligation to do some explaining.
At the very least, association with Jeffrey Epstein raises questions of judgment, right? Nobody looks good for having hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, now knowing everything that we know. Whether or not they should be held accountable as to whether or not there was any criminal activity. And obviously we just don't know. One has to hope that because we now know so much more, that there is so much public scrutiny on this, that the wheels of justice will turn in a way that they definitely didn't for a very long time.
The legacy of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is to expose a darkness too awful to imagine. But as difficult as it is to comprehend, it would seem there's even more to be revealed.
Certainly from what I know, that there are more people who aren't even on this list that either knew or potentially participated in what was going on around Jeffrey Epstein.
Do you expect that others will be charged, that others will face prosecution?
I very much hope so. I think it's really important to know it is actually much, much worse than we think, and that we're comfortable accepting.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown.
Audiobooks are no longer optional for authors. They are essential. Hi, I'm Sarah from Smart.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein.
You're still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talking about for years. Such a great dancer.
For 14 years old. Yeah, he knew very well my age. I don't think he would care.
And you helped him build this international trafficking.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Who killed Jeffrey? How,
Ghislaine Maxwell to testify, and Speaker Mike Johnson says that he supports Ghislaine Maxwell testifying.
I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know when she originally made the statement. I think she was talking about document.
Welcome to the court of history, where politics and the law and journalism intersect. I'm here with my colleague Sean Lenz, and today we're going to discuss Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and we're going to have a very special guest, Michael Wolff. Sean, I don't know if you have any views on why you think Elon Musk would raise the issue of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump.
Presumably because he knows something about Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. And there's been a great controversy about the Epstein files, right? And at first, people inside the administration wanted the Epstein files shown, and then all of a sudden, they were very angry because they didn't show anything. The question is, what is in those files, and what is the Department of Justice doing? That's the background of all of this. And then Elon Musk comes up with this, bombshell, as he says, as he puts it. I presume that he knows something about what's in there.
Yeah, well, under pressure from a lot of stir on the internet, principally from the right wing, that there's something in there. Pam Bondi made a point of releasing the so-called Jeffrey Epstein files, and so there was nothing there. And then the deputy director of the FBI, Don Bongino, former right-wing talk show host, said nothing there. But I don't know. It turns out that we are very fortunate to have with us probably the greatest expert who knows more about Jeffrey Epstein and perhaps Donald Trump than any other journalist, Michael Wolff. He has received
Now, I can pull photos that Trump was in parties with underage girls, man. We're not going to make this up. There's more.
One of the president's most strident supporters are furious at his Department of Justice after concluded there would be no further disclosures of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents, and that, basically, everyone should just drop it and move on.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody, so I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now, by coming here to be part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office, so I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to pee probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good.
you've done, Pam Bondi. You have made Alex Jones cry and possibly puke, which he only does a few times a year because of how much integrity he has. Some of those president's most strident supporters are furious at his Department of Justice.
You write in your book, my bankers and I worked out a terrific deal that allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory. Eventually, the rest of the world will too. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the bank, skating on thin ice and almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired.
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you listen to what people are
I
saying.
talk to your bankers.
Well, that's fine. And what do they say? I mean, depending on which bank you're talking to, what do they say?
The only way you even have a chance is by selling that property out there totally for plaza.
Well, I don't know what the bankers have said. The plaza is a very valuable property. Everybody told me, oh, you paid too much, you paid too much. Now they're all saying, what a great deal he made on the plaza.
You write in your book, my bankers and I worked out a terrific deal that allows me to come out stronger than ever. I see the deal as a great victory. Eventually, the rest of the world will too. Being on the verge of bankruptcy, being bailed out by the bank, skating on thin ice and almost drowning, that's a businessman to be admired.
You say on the verge of bankruptcy, Barbara, and you talk on the verge, and you...
The future of your business is here. With Wix, get advanced AI capabilities.
With the president still talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case, the Justice Department is busy trying to keep his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, from successfully appealing her conviction on sex offenses involving minors. In a brief filed with the Supreme Court yesterday, the DOJ argued that her claim that Epstein's 2007 plea deal should have also covered her is both incorrect and unlikely to succeed in, quote, any appeals court. For more on her actual role up to this point, here's CNN's Randy Kidd.
Maxwell was among Epstein's closest associates.
Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for our tardiness. I was with the president. Let me begin with a few scheduling announcements today. President Trump will travel to Scotland, where he will visit both Turnberry and Aberdeen from July 25th to July 29th. During the visit, President Trump will meet again with Prime Minister Starmer to refine the great trade deal that was brokered between the United States and the United Kingdom. And the President and the First Lady will travel to the United Kingdom for an official state visit from September 17th to September 19th later this fall. This will mark a truly unprecedented second state visit.
Oh, well, Major, I want to start with a short video clip from 1992 from Entertainment Tonight, which is owned by CBS Television. In it, Donald Trump is heard making questionable comments about a young girl. Let's listen to that.
Dude, Thursday night, you going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
You can hear him say, I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it? Major, I wonder how concerned the Trump campaign is about videos like that one continuing to surface.
Deeply concerned. The Trump campaign is, I think it's fair to say, on eggshells about any disclosures, any videotape, audio tape, any accusations coming from other women about untoward remarks, physical aggression, anything in this category of Trump acting like someone unfit for the presidency or unfit as a gentleman. And the Trump campaign doesn't know what's out there, doesn't know what may or may not be coming, and Trump has not really given those closest to him any indication about what might be out there. One of this reality is that the Trump campaign, Elaine, and it's been never more apparent than it is now, Unlike most people who run for the presidency, it appears Donald Trump did very little opposition research on himself. Most people who seek the presidency, skilled politicians, do all of that in advance, or as much of it as they can, to find out all the potentially negative things that might be out there, how to prepare for them, how to respond, and how to keep them out of public view if at all possible. The last couple of weeks certainly indicate that if Donald Trump was curious about that, he wasn't curious enough. And the fact that his closest advisors now live in a state of semi-panic about what may or may not be coming indicates to me that Trump didn't do very much of this across the entire realm of possibility, which leaves his campaign and those closest to it, and Trump himself, vulnerable to whatever may come next.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Major. As you well know, opposition research really is one of the mainstays of traditional campaigns, including opposition research on a candidate, him or herself. Let me ask you this, Major.
Because you know your opponent, your opponent's going to do it, Elaine. So the whole idea is do it preemptively, do it on yourself, learn all of your worst traits, disclose everything, at least internally, and develop a battle plan. It appears this campaign has not done that.
Yeah. Let me ask you about this. We know that Donald Trump's core supporters remain unfazed by the controversial remarks regarding women. I wonder how you interpret the polls that we're seeing now. Are those undecided voters responding? And also, Major, what really is the challenge here for those folks who are in Trump's inner circle as they head into these final weeks before Election Day?
I think the best way to answer that, Elaine, is based on conversations I've had with Trump supporters this week and that our embed, Sopan Deb, has had as well. Yes, Trump supporters remain fiercely loyal to Trump. They think all of this is either a media exaggeration or that there are things that have been revealed about ethical issues related to Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, the WikiLeaks emails that they believe are far, far more important and far more on point as to who might or might not be fit for the presidency. They are locked in. And as my piece just reported, people who are donating and gathering money on behalf of the Trump campaign are still writing checks. They are not deterred. They are still with Donald Trump, writing big checks, $5 million raised in Texas this week, more than half of it raised after that 2005 video surfaced on Friday. And bundlers I've talked to working on Trump's behalf say that's an indication to them, surprising they concede it to be, that people are still not only committed to Trump, but willing to write big checks on behalf of the campaign. And the principal reason is not because Donald Trump is the best, most ethical person who ever sought the presidency, but they believe Hillary Clinton is, if not the worst, the closest they've seen in their lifetime to the worst, and they want to defeat her and are willing to stick with Trump no matter what to achieve that goal. That seems to me to be the overall context. The challenge for Trump is expand the number of people who believe that, beyond those who have been committed for these many, many months. How he goes about that, amid all these other difficulties and controversies, that's a tough challenge.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess the question is, Major, given that there are still some big checks, as you reported in your piece, coming in, how much of an impact realistically can that money have here, given the context of things like this latest videotape just surfaced?
Well, that's a more interesting question this week than it was last week, Elaine, because these funds are raised for the Victory Fund, which is a Trump Republican National Committee joint operation that is basically designed to improve get-out-the-vote efforts for everyone on the Republican ballot, from Trump all the way down. And this schism that's developed over the weekend and intensified in the last couple of days, led by House Speaker Paul Ryan, raises a legitimate question about how much of that money is going to be devoted for Trump, how much is it going to be devoted to House Republican races, Senate Republican races, governor's races, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is to be worked out by the Trump campaign and the Republican National Committee, which they insist publicly are working in hand in glove and in total cooperation. But all of this tumult raises questions about how effective that money can be, how many people you can energize, and how many people you can deliver to the polls. And I think, as I indicated a couple of moments ago, Donald Trump doesn't need any more challenges of this kind.
Yeah, complex political picture. All right, Major Garrett in Lakeland, Florida for us. Major, thank you. San Bernardino and...
Donald Trump is the new happier of the 90s. In the 1990s, Donald Trump was building a reputation for himself as a ladies' man.
For an older person, he's very attractive.
He may be the most eligible bachelor in America. Please welcome Donald Trump.
Gone were the days when he was known primarily as the real estate mogul of New York.
Remember the 80s? The yuppies, the buyouts, the junk bonds, and especially Donald.
The man who was the darling of the 80s is seen in the 90s as a man in trouble, and he knows it.
The drama started when Donald began cheating on his wife, Ivana Trump, with aspiring actress Marla Maples. After an ugly public falling out, Donald and Ivana divorced in 1992, with some reports that Ivana got millions from the split.
Donald Trump's former or current girlfriend, depending on what day it is sharing all her secrets for staying in shape.
Donald eventually married Marla, 2 months after she gave birth to a baby girl. But by the end of the decade, Trump was single again, and he seemed to enjoy the dating scene.
The reputation of Donald Trump, the man who dates a different woman every year.
I don't do that. I mean, I've been with a number of women, but it's been over a fairly long period of time. I've had great relationships with women.
Now look, this is how you know he had secret affairs with women. So it shows you that not only Trump, have relationships, but he has secret affairs with multiple women. Part of his MO, part of his business, but it can't be denied, y'all, that a bachelor having time with younger women. So, some reason, y'all, at the end of the day, they failed to release those kind of files because they don't want to, they don't want to be humiliated. Trump, in his administration, really don't want to be humiliated what's on those files because he can probably lose his presidency. If it gets out. Let's go.
If you could have your choice, who would be the one person you'd date?
Well,
Or who are the three most beautiful women in
Well, how about Lady Di? That would be an interesting one. She's going to be available.
What kind of women do you
choice.
like?
I think my choice might be you. Look at the legs of her. Boy.
Can you imagine how controversial I'd be? You think about Clinton with the women. How about me with the women? Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, I think there is a certain controversy to me, and I am single, and I do go out with women.
While his family life may have been on the rocks, his business empire was crumbling.
The headline was quite accurate. Welcome to the 90s, Donald. Because it was like he got whacked right in the face. It was amazing.
Trump opened his third casino in Atlantic City in April 1990.
Lasers, fireworks, and miles of neon lights provided the color as Trump opened the Taj Mahal Casino Hotel in Atlantic City.
But just months after it opened, the Taj Mahal missed one of its debt payments, and Trump began looking for a bailout.
His empire could be at risk of collapse if the New Jersey Casino Commission decides not to approve Trump's bailout plan.
By the fall of 1991, all three casinos had filed for bankruptcy.
The Jersey Casino Control Commission has unanimously approved Donald Trump's bailout plan. That plan allows him to use his three Atlantic City casinos as collateral for a $65 million loan.
In order to finance a loan, Trump was forced to sell off his airline, his yacht, and a chunk of one of his earliest projects, the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Manhattan.
I had a wife who was suing me for $2 billion. I had the banks, I had this, I had that.
He did get to keep one asset, an undeveloped piece of land on Manhattan's west side that Trump had purchased in 1985. Trump had envisioned a huge project on the site, but in 1994, the real estate market fell, leaving Trump unable to make payments on the land. So Trump sold off the lots and made a deal where he got to keep some of the profits from any future development, and to put his name on a few of the buildings, marking a new chapter in which Trump was less of a developer and more of a brand.
Who knows better about hard times than me? I had a company, it was doing well, I had tremendous debt like this country, and in 1990, the whole country, it just went very, very bad.
As his finances stabilized, Trump began to reclaim his status in the public psyche with publicity stunts, like a 1995 Pizza Hut commercial in which he appeared with Ivana Trump.
Ivana.
What do people think?
It's wrong, isn't it?
But it feels so right.
Then it's a deal?
Yeah,
By the end of the decade, he was once again sounding like the Trump of the 80s, talking big about his finances.
Back in the 1990s, you owed something like $900 million.
Your empire was pretty much more than that. You owed more than that?
975 was personally guaranteed. That was just the small part. That was the harder debt. But I owed many, many billions of dollars. And now my company is much bigger and stronger than it was in the 80s.
And flirting with a presidential run.
Businessman Donald Trump tells Meet the Press that tomorrow he, Trump, is also leaving the Republican Party to join the Reform Party.
He is considered the largest developer in New York. In 1999, Trump was on the verge of doing something that he had only hinted at in the 80s. He was about to decide whether he could really run for the White House.
Running mate. If you decide to go with this, who would be the ideal running mate for Donald Trump?
Oh, I think Oprah would be great.
Seriously.
I think that probably that would be serious, actually.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching. Looking to build a chatbot for your website? On Fiverr, you can find AI.
We got some big news happening here now. Moments ago, Kevin Hesed completely crashed out when he was asked for the 50% tariff from Brazil. And this just goes to show that these people are not very smart. We also have a reporter who is alleging that Donald Trump has pictures of himself with underage girls. Epstein is one who owns it. And this is a reporter who would know. And I also have a couple of videos of Trump supporters who are really regretting their decision to vote for him. But let's first get into this big story where Kevin Hesed showed that the Trump administration is completely unqualified to be doing what they're doing right now, which is beating the United States of America.
Bottom line is the president has been very frustrated with negotiations with Brazil and also with the actions of Brazil. In the end, though, we're trying to put America first. I think that a lot of people, when I'm talking to negotiators from other countries, at some point they'll say, "What did we do wrong?" And what I'm trying to get, the message we're all trying to get across is this is about America getting itself ready for the golden age by getting our house in order, by getting our tariff and trade policy and tax policy exactly where it needs to be for a golden age. And normally it's not necessarily about a specific country, but with Brazil and
Well, he said the main important thing is getting the house in order. If Satan's kingdom is divided, it can't stand because his time is coming to an end. See, this is important that you get the house in order. If the house is not in order, if a house cannot stand, that means that Satan's kingdom is coming to an end. We can't get to the last minute things, y'all. I'm gonna keep saying we gotta stress this. We gotta continue to stress this. We gotta continue to bring this. This cannot get ignored. The more they want to push this and sweep this thing under the rug, is the more they're gonna continue. But the more we continue to talk about it, the more we continue to push this every day and keep pushing it to somehow we can get a vote on it. And that somehow that Trump can soon or later, he can go on and get impeached. Because, like I said, it's going to be the people that want him out, man. We can't go through another 4 years of what we've been already in.
their actions have shocked the president at times, and he's made them clear about that.
But I don't understand how you're saying it's about America, because the president has made it quite clear that what he's upset about is how the Brazilian Supreme Court has handled the criminal case involving former President Bolsonaro.
I'm agreeing with you. What I'm saying is that what I've been saying with most countries was that it's really about us getting the tariffs in order, and I think that this tariff for Brazil is a lot higher because of the president's frustration with Bolsonaro. And the fact that Bolsonaro himself,
But can you explain to me, because I find it confusing here, on what authority does the president have to impose tariffs on a country because he doesn't like what that country's judicial system is handling a specific case.
Well,
I mean, how is that?
It's a national defense emergency, or if he thinks it's a national security threat, that he has the authority of directing it.
So how is it a national security threat that, how Brazil is handling a criminal case against this former president?
Well, that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing. I mean,
So what is it? I mean, I've asked what it is. I mean, it seems that that's what President Trump's talking about. He's talking about his anger and his frustration. He's been quite candid about it with the Bolsonaro case.
Right. Well, the bottom line is that what we're doing absolutely collectively across every country is we're onshoring production in the U.S. to reduce the national emergency that is that we have a massive trade deficit that's putting it at risk should we need production in the U.S. because of a national security crisis.
Yeah, this is why you don't want authoritarians leading your government, because they hire people who are just loyal to the dictator and not people who are actually good at their job, or people who would tell you yes or no. 50% of Brazil is insane. And what's even more is that we're now hearing as this Epstein, I guess it's a scandal, has come up. We are now learning that Michael Wolff, the author, has said that Jeffrey Epstein showed him showed the reporter Polaroids of Donald Trump cavorting with topless girls by Epstein's pool.
And I've said before that Epstein used to bring out this set of pictures. There were about a dozen snapshots, and among them, there are at least three that I remember. Two of topless girls sitting in Trump's lap around Epstein's swimming pool, and then one with a stain on the front of Trump's pants with 3 or 4 girls laughing and pointing at it. So I have seen those pictures.
So what's your best guess as to where they are?
Well, my best guess is that Epstein kept them in the safe. The safe was emptied out by the FBI. Where are those pictures?
So now everyone knows that Donald Trump is doing everything he can to keep the public eye, and we're understanding now why. Because there's a lot of evidence and information that he doesn't want out there. Clearly, and MAGA's not having it. But MAGA could have woken up much sooner, and I wish they would have, because now we're learning that you might remember this song. I'm just gonna play a second of it because I don't want to get copyright stricken. You know that song, the Latinos for Trump song. Well, it turns out that guy just had the Trump administration come after him.
Last week, Cuban reggaeton artist Leandri Izquierdo, known as La Figura, faced a judge following an aggravated assault that happened in Miami-Dade. According to La Figura's girlfriend, she received a call from him this morning from Alligator Alcatraz.
A popular Cuban reggaeton artist is among several people describing the conditions there as inhumane.
I am Leandri La Figura. We've been here at Alcatraz since Friday. There's over 400 people here. There's no water to take a bath. It's been 4 days since I've taken a bath.
They say they haven't bathed in days, and one man says the food that they were served was infested with maggots.
They only brought a meal once a day, and it had maggots. They never take off the lights for 24 hours. The mosquitoes are as big as elephants.
I just need my husband. Honestly, I just...
Marisol Pestana has a hard time talking about her feelings. Last Friday, her 29-year-old husband, Juan David Pestana, never made it to his job.
He said, I have been detained by ICE.
Her husband was actually taken into custody right here, which is where they live, and she hasn't seen him since.
We're like rats in an experiment. I don't know their motive for doing this. If it's a form of torture, a lot of us have our residency documents, and we don't understand why we're...
They're going to end with this. 43-year-old Trump supporter was denied re-entry from Canada. He is stuck in Canada because of his own vote. Let this be a reminder that MAGA doesn't necessarily care about what they believe in or what they vote for until it personally affects them. And I'm just glad that everyone is waking up. It's so funny, this Epstein thing. This is not new information. We've known about this for a long time. But MAGA is waking up because the policies are impacting them, and Donald Trump isn't following through on his insane conspiracy conspiratorial promises. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like the video. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I'll see you next time.
Here for money, fine, Amir.
No funnels, no videos, no website needed. Just a smart, data-backed system that identifies cheap traffic, connects it to niche offers, and scales quietly.
This is incredible. It's great to be back here. I don't have the bulletproof vest on. I'm just wearing the cross today, so hopefully that protects me. Because we tend to make a lot of enemies telling the truth, don't we? You can tell a man's virtues by his enemies and his vices by his friends. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for having me. I got a lot to get through in 20 minutes. Thank you, everyone. This is incredible. Large one.
In addition to so many of these other stories that we are covering, want to kind of dive into something that's really playing out on social media, but also within the Trump White House. And this is a very, very vehement disagreement over what to do about the Jeffrey Epstein memo that the DOJ and the FBI released earlier this week, essentially saying, one, that the case is closed, and two, that Jeffrey Epstein did not or was not murdered, that he did, in fact, commit suicide and kill himself. But now in the wake of all this, it seems, according to the reporting out there, there are internal disagreements about how all of this was handled here. Axios has this reporting, and this is a scoop, that means exclusive to Axios, that FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino took a day off from work after a White House clash with AG Pam Bondi over their handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. That's according to 4 sources familiar with the conflict, telling Axios that. So I thought that was interesting. Also, our hearing from Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General. He says this: I work closely. Oh, if we could go back to the first one there. He says this: I work closely with FBI Director Kash Patel and FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino on the joint FBI and DOJ memo regarding the Epstein files, saying all of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusions stated in the memo. He goes on to say this. He says the suggestion by anyone that there was any daylight between the FBI and DOJ leadership on this memo's composition and release is patently false. The White House weighed in on the statement, and the controversy as well in this from Harrison Fields, White House Deputy Press Secretary, saying, quote, this work is being carried out seamlessly and with unity. Any attempt to sow division within this team is baseless and distracts from the real progress being made in restoring public safety and pursuing justice for all. So I wanted to make sure we got that in there. I should have led with this. I apologize, but this is the headline here. This is the lead. Many are reporting Dan Bongino is considering leaving his post at the FBI amid the Epstein document drama here. Who's covering it? Of course, our friend there at the Washington Examiner, who covers the DOJ and the FBI each and every day. That's, of course, reporter Kaylin Deese. He joins me. Kaylin, good to see you here. Boy, what a Friday. So I think it's safe to say that the kind of internal battles regarding the Epstein memo, the Jeffrey Epstein case writ large, have really reached a fever pitch here. What are you hearing? Have you spoken to people who are close with Bongino? What is his frame of mind? What is he thinking right now? Is he going to resign? Is he going to be in the job by the end of the weekend?
Thanks for having me on, Andrew. Well, to be quite honest with you, there's been crickets from my end on everything that the FBI is going through right now. There's been more information coming out from my sources over at the Justice Department, which have confirmed this friction that is happening right now within the Justice Department and the FBI, which we know are one and the same, despite being separated by different buildings. And so this is very much a very real situation that we are confronting right now. And we have reporting as of this hour that not only is there a consideration that if Deputy Director Bongino resigns, that perhaps even the Director Kash Patel could go along as well. And that is coming from the Daily Wire and some other sources out there. Now, there also seems to be, with that, there's almost an effort to present a wedge of sorts. Sort of, we're not going to stick around if she sticks around. And that's, of course, referring to the Attorney General Pam Bondi. So that is something that is very dire in this situation. Of course, it's not confirmed that this is sort of the wedge that is happening, but there are reports about it, and so it definitely adds more tension to the scenario that we're confronting here.
We're Phoenix Energy, a family-owned oil company focused on unleashing American oil from North Dakota and Montana.
So, is it safe to say, or is it accurate to say, Kalen, that camps are forming? Pro-Bongino camp, pro-Bundy camp? Have we seen that play out? And if so, why?
Well, certainly on social media, you're definitely seeing that. If you go onto X right now, there's multiple users, prominent and those who are just users in general, that are saying essentially that this is something that is falling back on Pam Bondi, who we know had the binders released to the influencers. There's some criticism that she's received for doing that. But on the other hand, you're also seeing some pushback, at least within the Justice Department, saying that everyone signed off on this memo, and that's coming from the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, as you put forth on there. Something of note that I would say is that when you're having somebody like Blanche, who we know was the president's former defense attorney in his criminal cases last year, when you're getting something, a statement like what he's saying, that there is no daylight between the divisions on this issue, that is a very affirmative stance coming from high up in the Justice Department. And for the Justice Department to be making claims like that, the fact that there is this current notion out there that Bongino is frustrated with the way that the Justice Department has handled it, sort of speaks to the fact that we're seeing so many leaks coming out of the FBI saying that this is something that he's heavily considering. And I think that, you know, when it comes to the question of if there's going to be an effort to push out Pam Bondi, I would note that earlier this week we saw Donald Trump sitting there in the meeting, in the cabinet meeting, expressing a lot of frustration about a reporter that even asked about this question.
Right.
I mean, it seemed like he didn't even really want to let the Attorney General answer the question, although she did. And, you know, therein lies sort of the main question here is Donald Trump himself going to pivot on this issue, or is he going to kind of stick in this lane where we've seen him kind of dismissing the concerns overall about the Epstein files release?
Yeah, I mean, his posture and his rhetoric at that cabinet meeting earlier this week was essentially to dismiss it. He thinks it's some type of distraction. I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said, you know, why are we still talking about this creep Epstein here? And so you're right. Any decision on what to do with the highest echelons of the FBI and DOJ would ultimately come, yes, to President Trump. So you do have to imagine, you know, what is he thinking about this fight that is playing out here? You're talking about leaks, though. I want to read from the New York Times' reporting. They say this, that Pam Bondi and her allies believe Bongino planted stories in the conservative news media, blaming her for the backlash after an announcement earlier this week the Epstein case would be closed. That's according to officials close to the situation. The New York Times also reports this. It erupted into an angry face-to-face confrontation at the White House on Wednesday, 2 days ago, when an irate Bondi accused Bongino of leaking information to the media in the presence of the FBI Director, Kash Patel, the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, and one of Wiles' deputies, Taylor Budowich. Bongino denied it, according to those sources here. So we've seen some of these fights play out in public there at the White House. Of course, I'm reminded of the infighting between Elon Musk and cabinet secretaries and the president himself. Caroline Leavitt has described that in the past as transparency. The American people should see these fights play out in real time here. It's not just, though, about the American people. It's about this subset of the MAGA base who are, frankly, fixated and obsessed with the Jeffrey Epstein case. How do you allay those concerns, those fears that the White House doesn't have the goods, or if they do have the goods, they're not releasing them? And a lot of people are scratching their heads as to why, if that is the case here. How do they answer those questions, Caleb?
Yeah, I think it's something that, however you cut it, it's not going to be easy from a political standpoint how the White House is going to address this, because there seems to be...
You know, it's sad that you get ignorant, dumbass, idiot-ass people. If you don't like what's presented, if you don't like, you know what I mean, just move somewhere into another, you know, live, man. Because this, what's going on right now, man, this is going to bring a problem to our for our nation, man. If we don't address this Epstein list, man, then shit, hell, man, we gonna let Trump be a dictator, man. He gonna dictate. He gonna continue to run on a agenda, and that's what he's focused on, the agenda. I mean, he's not focused on the American people. Obviously, he's not focused on y'all. He's not. You know what I mean? He's not focused on any one of us, man. You know, he's sitting here telling Pam Bondi, look, man, you did a fabulous job. Let's focus on this project 25. Let's focus on this agenda. Because what's on the beautiful bill is to stop free assistance for us. Free public assistance, man. Let's think about how many jobs you're going to probably have to work to maintain y'all. Just think about how many people you may have to live with you in one house. It's going to have to probably be 4 or 5 people living in one house. The way Trump is doing things, y'all. And you mean to tell me you get one idiot ass person don't even care? Because, you know, you get one idiot motherfucker. You know, see when evil is accepted, when evil is practiced and justice can't come in, that means good can't come to this country, man. This country is so cursed that the Most High got to pledge this country. I hate to say it like this to you guys, man. In order for a new world come, this old world got to die out. The old world. From these old rulers, this world gotta die. It gotta come to a point that it's gotta fade. It gotta die out. And the more we see Trump do, the more this present, you know what I mean, Earth is gonna die. It's gonna die. It's gonna fade out, y'all. You know, it's gonna fade out. In order for a new system to come in order for the Most High God to bring in a new system, this system got to die. This is it. This is it. I don't care how much he got the agenda going. This is it, man. This is it. Because it's gonna be, look, let's look how bad this thing gonna get, y'all. Many people rather stay to America, rather stay here in America and die here. That's how bad things gonna get, because people ain't gonna, a lot of people ain't gonna know, you know what I mean? They ain't gonna know or have no way to escape. And many people will just decide to die right here, United States, y'all. Right here. Because there is no future here. They don't have a future for themselves. So what will make you think you have a future here to stay here in the United States of America, where these people don't have a future for themselves? We got to, you know what I mean? We got to get these kind of people out of here, or else this country finna be real worse than what you think it is. Because y'all ain't seen nothing yet, man. Y'all just getting a glimpse of what you seeing, of what's about to come here, man. And these politicians, these world leaders, man, they not doing nothing but sending us hard tasks. And these people know, man. Each of these people know how serious things can get, y'all. I've been saying to you, man, don't start crying now. Now people's crying. I've been telling people, don't start crying us after y'all vote for this man in office, man. After y'all supported Trump, man. Don't come crying now. Now these people are crying. Now this is what I've been telling you guys. This is what I've been talking about. Don't come crying now, man. Don't start coming here crying. It's man. Time is too late, man. Time is too late. Trump, he's going to wish, just like I believe 1987, he's going to wish that he was never president. He gonna wish that he should never been president, man. Because being president of the United States of America, man, you have to have the heart for the people. When you president of the United States, it's not about me. It's not about I got power, I could do this. It's me. No, it's like when a newborn comes. It's like when a baby come in the world. It's like when a mother gets a baby to come in the world, she has to nurture that baby. That baby got to be nurtured from the time it gets born. So America will almost have to do a marvelous thing to turn this thing back around. The first thing she have to do is be for the American people. And when you are running for a president of the United States of America, see, when President John F. Kennedy was running, he was not running on his own agenda. He was running for the hearts of American people. He was running, you know what I mean, for Black Americans, to help them, to give them a civilization while they was here. He was not running. You think he was running to run on a basic agenda? No, that's why he was assassinated. But yeah, like I said, you guys, for more updates, you guys please stay subscribed to this channel, man. I gotta close this live though, because you guys gonna believe what y'all want to believe, man. You guys gonna believe what y'all want to hear. So yeah, like I said, to each his own, y'all. Please stay subscribed. Stay, update. So please share this video. I'm out.